Last video, we went over the boxing stance and how to make sure that you're in the right position to land your punches. Today, we're going to go over the punches. Now, there are 6 basic punches in boxing. And because there's 6 basic punches, I'm going to teach you the way that I learned growing up, which is to have all the punches numbered. With your conventional boxing stance, the odd number punches will be with your left hand. The even number punches will be with your right hand. 1, 3, and 5 with your left. 2, 4, and 6 with your right. If you are a southpaw fighter, which means that you're either left-handed or you just decide that you want to fight with your right shoulder leading, it's going to be the same number of punches except it's going to be the other way around. The odd number punches will be with your right hand, the even number punches will be with your left. 1, 3, and 5 with your right if you're in a southpaw stance. 2, 4, and 6 with your left if you're in a southpaw stance. I fight conventionally, so we're going to learn everything from a conventional stance. So we're in our boxing stance. One thing to remember, again, especially when approaching punching, is that one of the key things, and it's a thing that I often find myself having to explain to people that I train, especially people that are doing it for the first time, is to relax. You want your shoulders and arms relaxed. You don't want to be flexing or holding your shoulders up. You want everything to be nice and relaxed. Hands here. Other thing you want to make sure of is that you're committing to your punches. When I say committing to your punches, what I'm talking about is making sure that you're either stepping if your opponent is at a distance, or just making sure that your momentum is going forward into your punches. So we're going to go through the first punch. Number 1 in our arsenal is the jab. Number 1. So to learn the jab, I want to actually turn this way because it's going to be better demonstration. Key with the jab is this. Hands are up. The jab is probably the most important punch in your arsenal because it's the one you should use the most, because the jab sets up everything. When approaching the jab, again, you want to make sure that you're committing to your target. Either you're going to step or you're just going to allow your momentum to move forward. So for this particular instance, we're going to step. I'm taking a step towards my target. My hands are up, and from this position, I'm shooting my left hand out. It's staying straight. I'm not pulling it back before I punch. I'm just shooting it straight out, and I'm turning my fist at the end. So the jab should look something like this. Nice and easy. One thing I don't want to do is I don't want to telegraph it by either dropping it before I punch or, as I just mentioned, pulling it back before I punch. You're just stepping straight out. This is your jab. If you were training with me, if ever I would call out the number 1, it's your jab. You're keeping your hands loose, tighten them before impact. Right here, and your right hand is up protecting yourself, but you're committing to your target and snapping that jab. Commit, snap. Commit, snap. One way that's easy to learn whenever it comes to stepping towards your target is you got to remember it's not this. You're not jumping into the punch. You're stepping and then punches. One of the best methods I use to teach this is think of it as if you have a button on the ground that you're stepping onto, and that button is signaling a light that signals you to throw your punch. Step, punch. Step, punch. This way you're committing to your target. You're not off balance. That's your jab. That's the number 1 punch in your arsenal. Number 2 is your straight right hand, or cross as some people call it. So the key thing to remember with the cross is, first and foremost, the punch starts with your feet and your hip, your foot and your hip, rather. So what I'm doing is, I'm committing to my target. I'm turning my hip and my foot at the same time, also my shoulder, and when my body gets about this position, I let my hand go out and I turn into the punch. It's key to make sure that your hip and shoulder are turning, otherwise you're just doing this, which really doesn't put a lot on your punch. And again, similar to the jab, the one thing I don't want to do is pull back before I punch. One, for timing reasons, is it gives your opponent more time to react to your punch, but also the moment you pull back, you leave yourself open to get countered here. So instead of opening up, my body's already in position to punch because of my stance. I just commit to my target, turn and throw that straight right hand. Straight right hand. Committing, turning my hip and my foot, straight out. Now let's talk about 3 and 4, which are your left and right hook. Again, I'm always committed to my target because, again, I want to make sure that I'm close enough to land and make sure that to make my punches effective. So when it comes to the left hook, again, similar to the right, your straight right or your cross, I'm starting with my feet, and my hip and shoulder have to also be involved. I'm committed to my target, or I'm already committed to my target. It starts here. I'm turning with this foot and this hip and my shoulder so that I'm getting the right leverage on the punch. This is a good exercise to learn how to get leverage. Here, here. And as I'm doing it, the reason it's called a hook is because, as you can see, as you throw it, that's the position your arm is in as you throw it. So I'm committing to my target, turning into my hook. Turning, turning. One mistake a lot of people make is when they throw the left hook or the right hook, they do this. They try to do it with their arm. You don't have a lot on your punch. You need to turn your body into it. Turn your body. That's one key thing to remember when you're throwing any hook, whether the right or left, whether left or right, but turn your body. So as you see, when I'm throwing the left hook, I'm turning my body, so it's going to be the same thing with my the right hook, turning my body. 3, 4, 3, 4. Me, I keep my feet involved because it's a better way to get good leverage on my punches. 5 and 6 are your uppercuts. One key thing to remember about the uppercuts is, while the uppercut can be a knockout punch, if you can get enough power on it, by function and design, the purpose of it is to lift your opponent's chin so that you can land that knockout blow. But oftentimes you do find somebody can generate a lot of leverage and a lot of power on the uppercut to take their opponent out with this particular punch. Now, when approaching the uppercuts, similar to everything, you don't, as I said, with the right hand, with the straight right and the left hook, you don't want to drop. You don't want to open yourself up, so you don't want to pull back. This is what I say, go bowling. You don't want to go bowling whenever you're throwing the uppercuts. When you're going bowling, what you see is this, particularly the right uppercut, is I don't want to bring my hand back here to throw it. Two things are happening. One, I'm giving my opponent a lot of time to react to my punch, but also I'm opening up myself to get countered. So what I want to do instead is I may take myself down a little lower to get a little bit under my target. I'm starting my punch again with the feet and the hips. I'm turning my shoulder into it, and when I get about here, I let it go. I let it go. This is the 6, the right uppercut. Same with the 5. I'm still stepping in, committing to my target, and turning into it. Turning into it. Turning into it. Generating power from the hip. Not from the arm, but from the hip. Hip. So this is the way that you approach any of your punches. Now, let's go to all those punches in review. And one thing you're going to also notice is that your stance puts you in position to land all these punches, and each punch actually puts you in position to land the punch that comes right after it, as far as in order number-wise. So we see the 1. The 1 actually puts me in position to land the 2. The 2 puts me in position to land the 3. The 3 puts me in position to land the 4. 4 puts me in position to land the 5. And the 5 puts me in position to land the 6. So when you start now, particularly with shadow boxing, if you are just learning it, one good way to start getting comfortable with the punches is to just simply go through all of them just based on number. So you're going to be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Keeping your hands up, move around, adjust a little bit. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. All right? Those are the 6 basic punches that you use in boxing. Whether it's to the head or to the body, it's still going to be those particular 6 punches.